Greetings, everyone. 0526 here. RIPS number 7. The people over at The Guardian copy struck this video. So, in order for me to put it on YouTube, I deleted all of their footage, even though fair use says we are allowed to commentate on news broadcasts, but we are in a system of white supremacy. So, the video may seem to cut in various places. That is because I had to remove all of their footage. But I think I did a constructive work in handling that. It is still very constructive. Thank you for your audience. Please like, share, and comment. And The Guardian, definitely one of the many arms of white supremacy. Enjoy the broadcast.
CRWS, Countering Racism White Supremacy Book Club. Like, share, subscribe, and comment below.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Racism in Plain Sight, number 7. Compensatory broadcast to show you racism, white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, and very importantly, that it is always surrounding us, staring at us, daring us to do something about it. And at least we can do about it is use our thoughts, speech, and action to counter it. So this is CRWS's effort. I'm here with the fellow host, Ms. Helen B., Mr. Smoking Damages, and we're going to get started. Again, this is an information sharing broadcast, which is according to United States law we should be allowed to do, even though we are classified as Black. So I'm gonna get the first clip started, and I hope my computer stops doing that black flickering. But without further ado, gonna get started. Okay, I think that's a nice segment, point in time deposit, because he's talking about genetic survival, which is, I suspect, the reason that we're in this system of white supremacy. At least one of the main reasons we're in the system of white supremacy, because they need this system to maintain their numbers, to maintain their existence. Perhaps, you just heard it from the serpent's mouth. Serpents meaning this suspected racist right here in the color of the suit. The system of white supremacy, is definitely a Welsing moment. Please read the book, the ISIS Papers, or binge listen to our ISIS Papers book study and learn all about the genetic survival aspect of the system. But he just said it. He wants white people to be here, and for some reason they think that they need this sort of terror domination system called white supremacy in order to keep their existence. But in a system of justice, we would have no problem helping them to not go extinct. But for some reason, they would much rather do population tailoring control, racial classification confusion to maintain their numbers, instead of going about it in a correct manner. Because it makes sense that a group of people that doesn't want to die out or go extinct. That makes perfect sense. But it becomes a problem when they spend their historical tradition, legacy of genociding and eliminating groups of people, animals, and creating industries that leads to the extinct of various animals, and again, population tailoring control, which is killing large numbers of non-white people in various ways, whether it's through giving them a diet that causes them to kill themselves, or doing something like chemical warfare, and which leads to a lot of Black deaths. So they have dozens of ways of eliminating their numbers, not their numbers, but people like myself who have been classified as non-white, especially Black people. That was just 2 minutes in. Any folks want to chime in about what was just said by this suspected racist?
Yeah, so far it seems to be quite a deceptive documentary so far with the commentary that I've just heard, especially when the I guess it's the host, the narrator of the documentary so far, and she said 21st century America, like it's a shocking thing that this is happening in 21st century America, and a lot of us non-white people, especially black people, are still saying up to now, despite our treatment at the hands of racist man and racist woman, are still being shocked about this racism stuff happening towards us in, and what she said, 21st century America, like the time has made some sort of difference. So I think the language going forward in this documentary is going to be very, very interesting. I think it's very, very deceptive. And she also said there we're experiencing a rise in white nationalism. Now, I don't know what white nationalism is. As far as I understand, I think nationalism is just another euphemism or some sort of compensatory term for system of racism, white supremacy. It's just another way of people who are classified as white, suspected white supremacists carrying out racism, white supremacy. So apparently, this is a new religion based upon some sort of what they said, like symbols brought forward from, you watched what they said, European culture or European history, which involves Vikings as well, she said. Yeah, usually if you go on these white supremacist websites, other non-white people listening to this can go check it out themselves. It's a sort of like a kind of way where a lot of racist man and racist women, they try to sort of tie themselves back to Vikings, apparently warrior class of white people. If they become a little bit more afraid, then they sort of try and associate themselves with what they look upon as powerful white people as from the past, powerful white people from history, and try to sort of emulate that to, I guess, stave off what they call is an attack on what is white.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
think
Diamond.
also,
Oh, I was just gonna say one more thing. I did notice that the white suspected racist female, she did say call these white men fragile. I don't know how a white person can be fragile if they wield the power of the system of white supremacy. So I don't think there's any such thing as a fragile white person. I think that's also has been used to confuse us as to understanding like what racism is and how it works. Because if white people were fragile, then they wouldn't be dominating the entire planet 24/7. Ms. B.
also, I find this documentary to be deceptive in the fact that it make it they make it seem like white people make it seem like, oh, it's only here, it's only, and it's not global, and that's also very, racism is is global. Racism, white supremacy is global, and yeah. So to focus on that town, or and say, oh, the population is, so small, and this that's deceptive.
Agreed.
Very well said, both of you. Let's continue it. I gotta do it. Gotta do it. And it's already an indication of a person's confusion if they are going out and buying cosmetics to put on top of their hair. Maybe this is their natural hair, but this is already an indication that this person is going to be deceived by every white person around her because yeah, if you spend your time trying to change the way you look and not improving your understanding of white supremacy, it's very, very easily for you to be deceived by racist men and racist women. And the chief tactic, the main tactic of racist men and racist women is deceit, lying to us, lying to our faces with a smile, charm, mask as deceit. So this is already not looking good for this victim. See, that's not deceit right there. That's not deceit one-on-one. If this victim had counter-racist logic in their brain computer, they would understand that a white supremacist looks like anyone who is capable of being a white supremacist, which is every person classified as white, which is why we call every person classified as white a suspected racist and or white supremacist, a suspected white supremacist. So this is, of course, does he look like a white supremacist? Yes. Can I prove he's a white supremacist? No. So the best term I could use for him is a suspected white supremacist. And if she was suspicious of him, she'd be much more protected from the deceit he's practicing against her. Any comments?
I think it's really good. I think as well, it's really telling how much he started the suspected white supremacists there. The councilman who has allowed it apparently gave them the permission to go ahead with their quote unquote church. When she stayed in the question lane and asked him, when he said, "Do I look like a white supremacist?" and then she said, "Well, I don't know what white supremacist looks like," etc. Then it was a little bit more revealing. And I think sometimes when you're dealing with racist man and racist woman or racist suspects, even, it's important to stay in the question lane there, because then usually, what they're trying to do, like you said, a lot of it's based on deceit. And I mean, a good question for her to have asked him probably then, when she said, when she asked him about, well, when he was explaining about non-white people not being allowed in the church, the so-called church, if she'd asked him, what would happen if a non-white person did enter the church, what would they have done then? That would have been interesting to hear his answer to that question. Would the fellow parishioners react with violence if they tried to go into the so-called church or place of worship, so-called? It would have been interesting to see what he would have said, because I think that would have been really, really revealing. So I wish he had asked that question.
And also a Yurugu moment, because the racist man and racist woman, they need power and control in all of their interactions. And if you're in a conversation and you're the one asking the questions, that means you are the one wielding the power and having control. And she's the reporter, but somehow, some way, he's asking her like the questions. Do I look like a white supremacist? Which is I think was a neutralizing term. And maybe she should have just asked, want to ask a question: are you a white supremacist? Do you hope the system of white supremacy? Something along those lines. But again, the white people. The white people who allowed this victim to go and do this report, they know that she's very confused, and they know that she will not be able to formulate these sort of questions. Any comment?
He also said he spoke to the organization, and they said they're very good people. I just don't even understand what that means. They said that they're very, very good people, and he believes them. So, and he doesn't want to challenge them because he doesn't want any kind of trouble with them, with these good people. So, interesting and quite revealing, I think, as well.
Take notice, non-white people. Notice how he flipped it, like 05 said. Notice how he flipped. Now he's the one asking the question, do I look like? You know what? A very important question that should have been asked. What is one? What is a racist white supremacist? Or what is a right supremacist? That's something that should have, definitions are important. Words are important. And that's something that should have been, I wish she would have asked that question. I think he gave her the perfect opportunity to do so. But because she doesn't know the code, I understand. That's it for now.
Quick pause to just remind everyone that one of the most, if not the most, racist, aggressive acts a white person can commit against a non-white person is sex. It's taking that person to the bedroom, especially creating an offspring with that victim. Because that white woman that we just saw, race mother, she has no intention to teach her offspring about white supremacy, nor does she have any intention of ending it. So she's just like, she has her victim, her directly captured victim, the black male, and now she has her directly captured offspring, the black child we saw just now. Really, really, really tacky, trashy, and terroristic to be a white person and to have so much information on just how the system works, and just to not tell anyone that information, and then to also like go and rape black people and pretend that you're having sex with them. It's just super diabolical. We have to remember that non-white people are in the system. We are children. We are classified and treated like children, and the only adults are these people right here, racist man and racist woman. So when they take us to the bedroom, when they have sex with us, it's definitely like a child having sex with an adult, which is why it is very, very, very incorrect. So it sounds like that black male has some information about white supremacy, but clearly not enough, because he has created a fatal error in procreating with the enemy. But with the messages that are like emitted from the system, we get messages that say worship white, go out and seek out a white vagina, go out and seek out a white phallus, and this is what it produces: black males going and getting raped by white females, and black females going out and getting raped by white men and pretending it's sex. And the same thing happens to every other non-white racial classification. Super, super terroristic, should not be happening. If we all just took a counter racist stat and say, what, no more sex with you all until we all solve this problem, we'll really get to see how much love they have for us, which I think is none. It's just super, super, super disgustingly whack. And that's all I have to say about that for now.
It's interesting as well, where the deceptive part as well of this documentary, how it starts with, these are the white supremacists over here, right? So this church, this so-called church, this is where the the audience for this type of documentary, I suppose, are supposed to look at ourselves and say, okay, these are the white supremacists over here, these so-called kind of white extremists. And now when we're going to talk about antidotes, or the quote unquote good people in the documentary, then we're shown some sort of tragic arrangement where there's a black man tragically arranged with a white female, which is very, very deceptive. In other words, they're trying to say with this, this is what my opinion is anyway. They're attempting to say that this white female who's with this black male is not a racist, and don't view her as a racist. View these people over there, the parishioners of this so-called church, as white supremacists. Well, as for what we know, how do we know that she's not calling him a nigger behind closed doors, right? We don't know what she's saying to that black male behind closed doors. We should all be looking at her as a suspected racist as well, and even more deceptive at practicing racism, white supremacy. So a very, very deceptive part so far with that documentary.
White women do it best.
Precisely. At least the white supremacists amongst this church, they're, at least from my knowledge, they're not out, confusing black people more by sexually terrorizing them and abusing them while pretending it's sex. But yeah, the white woman we just saw, she's definitely a racist in my book, because she's committing the most racist act imaginable, which is raping a black male and pretending it's sex.
Also, sorry, before you continue, there's also another troubling thing in this documentary so far. It almost sounds like one of the objections, or what we are being led to believe is one of the objections, and what we should all be sort of worried about, is that this so-called church is not inviting people who are classified as black into their congregation. Now, why would people who are classified as black want to be around those people anyway? Should we want to be around them? It's almost like we're supposed to be thinking these black people, us as black people, we want inclusion, whatever that means. I don't know how that's going to solve the problem by them allowing black people into that so-called church anyway. So I don't know why black people would want to be included in that type of setting anyway.
Precisely. In our Discord, the Produce Justice Discord, Counter Race White Supremacy Book Club Discord, we have a document that actually has the rune alphabet on it. So it could be a nice little exercise to decode whatever was written on on that stone tablet we just witnessed. Very, very interesting, for sure. This is riddled with symbols and stuff to decode that we probably won't be able to do today because that will take a lot of time, but it's going to continue. Just wanted to make that note. I'm just going to pause there for another short discussion of what we just witnessed. This is an incredible piece of information. The most powerful religion on the planet is white supremacy, and I think this church definitely reflects that, and this church is definitely supporting and maintaining white supremacy. And this white supremacist that we just saw on the screen was very, very honest. And again, Welsing moment, genetic survival. You know, he said that the existence of his people is not negotiable. Who is trying to kill all white people? Who has the power to kill all white people? Not black people, not non-white people. The only people who have the power to do that is actually only white people. So it's just really, really, I don't know. Is it a part of the like psychopathology that they think we are trying to kill all of them, or do they know that without a system of white supremacy, no one would be really interested in them? You know, perhaps, but you know, in a system of justice, we will like help you all not to go extinct if that is something that they are afraid of, which it seems to be, because this system is not here just because it's like, you know, sunshine and lollipop. It's here for very specific reasons. And from this broadcast, it seems to be one of those reasons is that they feel like if they didn't have this system, they would disappear or go extinct for some reason. Any comments from the panel?
Hello, peaceful greetings. This is Kwaku. Can I be heard?
Yes, sir. Greetings.
Yeah. You know, personally, me, I didn't have too much issue with what was being said, especially by that suspected racist. I think if he wants to live, I think every human being is entitled to that. My only issue is that in order for them to live, they have to practice racism to achieve it, and that's the issue here. For another thing is, you know, they're talking about their religion, what they want to do, what they want to do with their religion. They say it's for Northern Europeans. Oh, go ahead, practice your religion. Why would I want to be a part of that? I'm not Northern European. You know, those are just some of the things that I'm thinking about. I don't know why they would be marketing that towards me myself. All I'm concerned about is stop practicing racism. Stop trying to confuse us and make this seem like something it's not. If you're practicing racism here, say it, admit it, so I know that. Those are my comments so far.
Yeah, I thought it was very telling him saying that he will fight for his race with words and literature, and if that doesn't work, he'll use other means. That's what it sounded like he was trying to communicate. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much racism and white supremacy 101. You know, it's mostly consisting of words that have been used to keep us very, very confused, and literature that perpetuates their confusion. And of course, they have been using direct and indirect violence for hundreds and hundreds of years to keep us very, very subjugated and dominated. So yeah, that's very telling, you know, and we need to begin to counter this system with our thoughts and our words, because that is something we haven't done effectively. Perhaps probably because we don't have enough of victims attempting to do so. You know, white people again are only less than 10% of the population, and non-white people are much, much more than 10% of the world's population. So if we all were just, talking about the race problem consistently and constructively, wherever a white person turned, they were confronted with the fact that they are not helping to eliminate white supremacy, or they are maintaining it, they would have to make a lot of changes on how they interact with us. But until we begin to do that, they're going to be able to keep practicing white supremacy, I suspect. I may be in error, but I don't know.
For non-white people who'll be watching this broadcast, I'd say that his views are representative of many white people all over the world, not just those white people that go to this so-called congregation, this so-called church. Many, many white people that I've spoken to in my life have the same type of views about white genetic annihilation. And like you said, 0-5, there's no record of any other color classification on this planet that have wished to terminate all white people. So I'm not exactly sure what would prompt this type of church, but something really interesting, their little dialogue, the non-white female there with the white female there, which was really interesting to me, when she was talking about, we're not an extremist group and we're not a white supremacist group. And now, as far as I understand, most religious congregations, whether you're talking about Judaism, whether you're talking about Islam, whether you're talking about different sections of Christianity, they usually require you to adhere to your religion outside of the confines of that building, right? So when you leave that place, you're still a Jewish person, or you're still a Muslim, or you're still a Christian, you're still a Catholic. So what are the tenets of that religion that you are supposed to adhere to outside of that building? All those white people that are going to that congregation, if they are what I suspect are more kind of, what should we say, over white supremacists, could be more like what we call white extremists, that would be, interested in joining this group. Like they said, there many, like thousands of people have come from outside of that area to go to this congregation. These people are just ordinary people. They're your neighbors, right? These people work in shops, they work in banks, they work as, I don't know, bike mechanics, lawyers, judges probably go to this. So if they're adhering to this type of religion, how are they carrying out their religion outside of the confines of that building? It would be really, really good if she was less confused. Like we said, if it was a less confused person talking to that white female, she could have asked her that question, because that would have been really telling. Yeah, because I suspect that they're probably teaching their congregation to practice racism, white supremacy, even more outside of that building, just like you're encouraged to be a Christian outside of a church, you're encouraged to be a Muslim outside of a mosque, and you're encouraged to be a Jewish person outside of a synagogue.
Excellent combination of words, Mr. Smoky Damages. Continuing thing. It's really incredible to hear this. I don't know. I think this white woman here is it's a very refined, suspected racist, and then she's giving all these lame excuses of why white people join these white supremacist groups. They're born into a white supremacist system. I don't know if anyone's seen the movie Dune, the recent one, the remake that just came out, but that movie is just loaded with white supremacist like logic and nonsense. And that movie, like, most messages a white person will receive is that you're born special. You're born meant to dominate people who are not white. You're born deserving of all the resources that have been stolen through genocide, blood, or rape, and just spreading confusion globally. This is your birthright. So white people aren't seeking out these white supremacist groups because they want to feel special, or because they feel like isolated, or any of that nonsense. They join these groups because that's how they choose, that's how they want to maintain and refine the system of white supremacy. You don't have to join a white supremacist group to be a white supremacist. but that's just how they're choosing to practice their form of racism. It comes in an infinite amount of ways of how a white person chooses to practice racism. It comes wearing this pink dress and lying to this black female, spreading all this jargon, and separating oppression and racism. It's really, really, really interesting. Racism is a war against non-white people, and that includes of course oppression, domination, conquering, killing large numbers of us, just total subjugation, total mistreatment globally if you're non-white. So they always like to separate like the incorrectness when talking about racism. I noticed you did say oppression and racism when it's all encompassing, I suspect. Any comment? Yeah.
Notice the language: oppression, hate. Why not just call the group, or why not just have it? Why not just eliminate racism, white supremacy? Why whatever is titled hate, like, and all these different words that they're using. Notice how they're moving away from white supremacy. Notice that, and remember how the first guy, the white supremacist, the leader, he was like, he will use words and anything else. So yeah.
A
Yeah.
question that I would have for the white female is, what exactly? Why does she feel unsafe? Uh, as far as I know, she's a white person, and even though that, and this organization, is it the organization that makes her feel unsafe? I don't know if she stated it or not, but I can't. I believe that she's trying to deceive us. She is saying that that this group is aligned with the KKK, these white extremist groups. But yeah, she can go out, she can say all these things, and then go practice racism as soon as the cameras are off. So that's just a point that I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that 100%. She's very, very deceptive. I suspect she's a very, very refined white supremacist practicing racism, white supremacy in plain sight, but trying to be really, really deceptive about it. Again, they're stressing that white supremacists were in Charlottesville, so then we're encouraged to look at what happened in Charlottesville. Those were the white supremacists over there, but these other white people in this documentary, they're not white supremacists. And also some other with like what Helen B was talking about with the deceptive language when they're talking about white heritage, etc. What is white heritage? Like, as in inheriting something. What people who are classified as white, they inherit the spoils of centuries and centuries, millennia of white supremacy, right? Racist man and racist woman being in charge, being supreme on this planet. That's what you inherit. That's your white heritage. So I don't know what this is about to celebrate white heritage. You celebrate, as far as I'm concerned, racist man and racist woman, they celebrate their heritage every single day because they practice racism, white supremacy in a refined form and sometimes in an overt form. So yeah, very, very deceptive. And I hope non-white people looking at that documentary just check, like Helen B said, just listen to the use of words and how they're encouraging us to think of these people over there as the white supremacists, and these other sort of soft-spoken, nice, I vote for Obama twice type people are not racist. It's so deceptive.
Yeah, and this is also like teaching us the white code. And one of the rules I suspect in the white code is just don't admit we're in a system of white supremacy, and just take take the conversation as far away as you can from the system of white supremacy. Because when the black female asked the suspected racist about the Charleston rally, and she was like, would you consider that a racist rally? And he's like, no. And that's just white code 101. Do not admit that racism is a problem. Do not admit that white supremacy is a problem. Just keep your mouth shut if you want to keep this system going. So really, really telling, I think. About 2 more minutes. Does anyone have any comments, or should I continue for the last 2 minutes?
I was. Yeah, go.
I had a comment real. Oh, go ahead, Smoking Down. Just
no. You go.
Okay, I was just gonna say, for me, this
Your mic cut out, Kwaku.
embodiment of means to practice racism, white supremacy. Okay, I'll hold on.
Okay. Yeah, from my studies and like reading the Yurugu by Dr. Marimba Ani, a heathen was a person classified as non-white that white people were killing and attempting to dominate. So really interesting that they're using this term heathen, and if they're like the same as the other religion, why aren't they using that same terminology that they're calling themselves? But I guess it's part of the confusion. But yeah, I'm not really sure what a heathen is unless we're using like the Merriam-Webster dictionary, which is not a good thing. I think heathen is often used to racialize non-white people, especially Black people. So really interesting.
It was really interesting what they said in that little segment there, where now we've been introduced now into this documentary of this new group of heathens that they call themselves. So I guess that's not name calling. This new group of heathens that are, this is a different place where they welcome non-white people and LGBTQ, whatever that means, in relation to the subject, which was supposed to be the subject of the documentary, is apparently about white supremacy, right? It's about racism carried out by white people against non-white people. This is apparently what the documentary is supposed to be about. That's what it's billed as. But then we're being taught that, or we're being asked to believe that this is a different group that practices this sort of heathen religion, and this is a place where you can go where you don't experience racism, white supremacy. Where, as far as I know, Black people who are classified as Black, go to all different types of religious congregations for ages and experience lots of racism in these other places. And also, it's worth mentioning as well, they say we welcome non-white people and LGBTQ people. What on earth does that have to do with racism, white supremacy? As if to say that we welcome LGBTQ, and obviously LGBTQ white people definitely don't practice racism, white supremacy, right? Because they said so, right? You can't be racist and LGBTQ at the same time. Of course not. I mean, what the hell are they talking? This whole weird kind of conflation that anywhere you go where you see LGBTQ people, this means this is a safe place, quote unquote, for non-white people. This is a place where you can go as Black people and you won't experience racism. This is such a deceptive documentary. This is nothing. The LGBTQ angle of this has nothing to do with the subject at hand, and it's exactly the same type of thing they try to do with that same Black Lives Matter organization. It's a white organization with Black front runners. NAACP, a white organization with Black front runners, etc., etc., etc. Just racial showcasing, etc., man. And then they push the same type of thing. If you're a different gender, then that somehow has something to do with practicing racism, white supremacy. None of it does. It's white people, racist man and racist woman, who wish to dominate and mistreat people who are not white. That's what racism, white supremacy is. It's got nothing to do with sexuality, nothing to do with gender.
Correct. 100% agree. And also, this heathen term, heathens are often associated with incorrect, existence, incorrect beings and people. So for them to call themselves heathens and to also be the only whites that allow non-white people into their group, kind of, I don't know, it's just like a tongue-in-cheek kind of hint, like a little, they're winking at each other as they're doing this. I think so. I really think so, because it's very odd that this is happening.
Can I be heard now? Or am I still breaking up?
It's still very choppy.
Is that a little bit better now?
I can hear you.
Real quick, I just wanted to say, for me, this whole introduction of this group really shows the embodiment of racism, white supremacy. Where for what I'm seeing here is we have basically two groups fighting over how they want to practice racism. We have the ultra conservative extremist group, and now we have the so-called liberal group who don't mind having a couple of non-whites in their midst and to practice their racism to make it seem that, oh, we are an accepting group, which for me is just deceiving and confusing. I don't think that whether or not these non-whites are allowed to be in this group, I don't think that's going to overall improve their condition, nor will it do anything about racism, white supremacy at all.
Precisely. Very well said, Kwaku.
I completely agree. If you ask that new group what they think of tragic arrangements, so having sex with white people whilst a system of racism, white supremacy exists, see what this quote unquote nice group think of that question. If you ask them about things like, I don't know, reparations, for example, for descendants of slavery, ask that nice, lovely, well-meaning white group what they think of that. I think they won't be as nice, and I think they'll probably turn into that the kind of extremist white congregation in a heartbeat. I think they'll show you exactly how they like to practice racism, white supremacy, just with a few well-chosen questions.
Exactly. Incredible. He says he wants to be part of the solution after using incorrect language to describe what's happening. Hate isn't spreading anywhere. White supremacy is expanding, and they're trying to go take it to new planets. That's what's spreading with the system of white supremacy and the confusion and the destruction that it brings with it. But this hate nonsense, this hate term, we should very, very tacky and very I thought it was also interesting that this broadcast, The Guardian, it presents like the I guess the super conservative whites. It presents them like very not as I don't know, like incorrect looking, I guess, because they're wearing normal clothes, they're not barefoot in the woods, and it presents the so-called non-racist white people in a really interesting display, barefoot in the woods, naked, somewhat dirty, super telling. It's not like trying to tell the audience, the white audience, that, hey, yeah, look, you see what side you should be on. You want to be on this side that's hanging out in the woods, dirty, doing all these rituals, or do you want to be inside with a clean church, private rituals? I don't know. It's just really triple T to the max, tacky, trashy, and terroristic. And I wonder if the black female changed her hairstyle to, I don't know, to fit more in with this lot, and she had the other hairstyle to fit more in, or to be more pleasing to the other lot of white people. Yeah, that's all I have to say about this broadcast. I'll mute my line.
It would be correct if Toker were to reveal truth and use correct language and so-called infiltrate the other group and tell non-white people what's going on behind closed doors, or just tell what's going on truthfully in the organization that he's a part of. And notice when he closed his eyes, he had something over his head, and he used the term light, and he used the term God. That's another way how white people fool us, because we don't understand the words. We think that when we use the same word as they do, that we're saying the same thing, and we are not. They are not saying the same thing as when they use the term light. They're not talking about bright. I mean, they are, but I don't know. Do you understand what I'm saying? Can somebody help me? They use deceptive language. There you go. They use deceptive language.
Yeah,
Precise.
a lot of deceptive language being used there, and it's like Zero Five was saying about when they talk about they're practicing hate, and the so-called leader of this new group, the non-racist apparently non-racist group, they're saying stuff like, I don't want to be a part of this hate, this practicing hate. He wants to be a part of the solution. I just don't understand what that means. They said the non-white female as well, the black female, was also talking about this new group, this apparently non-racist group doesn't obsess over heritage. So in other words, this other group, they obsess over heritage. Is that what they're doing in that other group? Obsessing over heritage. I thought they started off this documentary saying that they were practicing racism. They didn't say practicing race and white supremacy, which they did. They didn't phrase it in that way, but apparently they're saying this is a racist group. But now they're saying they're obsessing over heritage. I don't think that's what they were doing, obsessing over heritage in that group. And also, it's interesting, which I didn't pick up on as well. This because last when I first watched this documentary, I didn't know if it was a different female. Apparently, it's the same female, but there's a hair change. So it's an interesting hair change as well. So now she's with the heathens. The bulk of the documentary, she spent like 90% of that documentary with some sort of kind of European looking type of hair, or just hair that's associated with non-black people. And now when she's doing this sort of she's at one with the heathens, and they've accepted her into the heathen congregation. Now she's sporting what would be looked upon as probably, I don't know, dreadlocks or some sort of natural black hair. And now this is what is this heathen hair to fit in with this group. You've got to have your natural hair, black hair. So basically, black people with the hair that grows out your hair, just the message there in that documentary that your hair is heathen hair. Right, and you'll fit right in with the heathens if you just have your natural hair that grows out of your head. I think it's a really weird subliminal bit of racism there in plain sight, and which a lot of people will look at, but they probably won't really see.
Can I be heard?
Exactly. Oh, go ahead, Messina.
It appears that they were just blaming the white people over there, meaning pointing fingers, but no one named any names. And then when that one white lady was saying that she was afraid for her life or whatever, why couldn't she give that black girl any information? Because if she's afraid of her life, then that black girl would have it 10 times worse than what she would have. Why couldn't she name any names or provide any helpful information for that black lady if she was so afraid of her life?
Yeah, naming names is something that I believe is against the white code. Thanks for pointing that out and noticing that. Rate This Record says VGQ. This documentary is simply confusement. And I agree. I never heard that term confusement, but I do like it. All right, let's go on. Let's move on to the next clip. Let me see what is that gonna be? But yeah, I want to do. Oh, what's all right.
Can I give my closing comments on that?
Oh yeah, please do.
So that documentary, if I'm the audience, a non-white person, the kind of messages that I see that I feel like I should be receiving is that I'm supposed to be upset that this white religion isn't being inclusive, or that there's these white people that don't want to include me in their religion. But for me, I could care less about what they're doing, because that for me does nothing to end racism and white supremacy. Me being a part of that religion, being a so-called heathen, does absolutely nothing to replace racism, white supremacy with justice. So for me, this documentary
Your mic cut out quick, you. Okay.
I completely agree with what Quakey was saying there. In terms, I mean, this is how I like my white supremacists, right there, out in the open. Practice it. You know, I'd allow all of them to wear a badge and a necklace around there, probably even a tattoo, and say, yeah, this is how we like our white. We're proud white supremacists. This is exactly what we want to do. And the thrust of that documentary, it was, that's how I perceived it anyway. That the worst thing about this so-called religion, this extremist religion, is that they don't want to include black people. We should really get up in an uproar that we're not allowed through the doors of this. Who gives a damn? I don't give a shit. I mean, I don't care if they don't want me in there. That's great. That's great that they don't want me. You know, is this what we're supposed to be upset about? That we're not included in a religion like that? Who wants to? Why should we want to be included in that? If they don't want us to worship with them, that group in particular, then you know, then we shouldn't. You know, I'm looking for this white approval. If they all come out, if they all throw open their arms and give us a hug and they say, okay, that's fine, then you can come and worship with us, you black people that want to be around us so much, even though we just told you we hate your guts, right? Why is that the be all and end all of this documentary? Is that why they're bad? Because they don't want, anyway, yeah, I haven't got anything else to say about that.
Yeah, and that brings to mind some just the reality that racist men and racist women have definitely like programmed us, conditioned us to not want justice, to not want a system of correctness and balance between people where no one is being mistreated and people who need help receive help. They have taught us so far away from that. They conditioned us to want to be included, to have a so-called seat at the table, at the racist table, where they're gonna be making like cheeky jokes with one another that we don't understand, you know, while we eat with them. You know, it's just really just tacky how they have just so retarded us, myself especially included. Yeah, it just no one should be spending their existence trying to be included, trying to get more diversity. All that stuff is it's just not constructive. We should all be attempting to establish a system of justice so no one is being mistreated, even these white people here. You know, we just need a total peace and balance in this universe, on this planet, ASAP. And it could happen if an effective number of white people, if an effective number of non-white people were very serious about it and using your thought, speech, and action to accomplish it, white people would really be sweating instead of laughing at us 24/7. But let's go to this clip right here. Where is Mr. Kyle Rittenhouse? All right, and I just think this is this incident is very, very telling of what it means to be white and how race and white supremacy works. Mr. Damages, would you like to chime in?
Oh no! This is the only way I can watch the video. It's fine.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and mute your line.
I hear somebody scream, "Burn in hell," and I replied with friendly to let them know, hey, I'm just here to help. I don't want any problems. I just want to put out the fires if there are any. I continue walking, and then I noticed the Duramax. I noticed a flame in the back seat of the Duramax, and I stepped towards the Duramax, and as I'm stepping forward, I believe his name is now Joshua Zeminski. He steps towards me with a pistol in his hand, and as I'm walking towards to put out the fire, I drop the fire extinguisher and I take a step back.
Okay. When you step back from Mr. Zeminski, what's your plan?
My plan is to get out of that situation and go back north down Sheridan Road to where the car source lot number 2 was.
And did you get back? Were you able to go in a northerly direction?
I wasn't.
Describe what happens.
Once I take that step back, I look over my shoulder, and Mr. Rosenbaum was now running from my right side, and I was cornered from in front of me with Mr. Zeminski, and there were three people right there.
Take a deep breath, pal.
Trying so hard to get them tears out.
Whatever. That's what I run.
We're going to just take time for our break anyway. You can just relax for a minute, sir. We're going to take a break.
So this little deceitful rodent known as Kyle Rittenhouse, there's not a single tear coming out of his eye ducts at all, but he still managed to shut down the whole goddamn courtroom. Shut the whole thing down with his lame crying. And this is just what deceit looks like. This is deceptiveness 101. They've trained everyone to be so just, oh my God, white person is crying. A poor white boy, poor white child is crying. We gotta help him. Someone help him. Someone, he needs a break. He needs a recess. Very, very sick. And this suspected white supremacist who white sacrificed 2 people and attempted to do another. This individual here is a part of the Kenosha Guard, which is a white supremacist militia group. And he went to Kenosha to help his white supremacist militia group, deal with the so-called George Floyd protests. Him, and thousands, I don't know, hundreds of other Kenosha Guard people went down to this area of the world known as Kenosha, Wisconsin, to help the police, because the police said that, hey, we're gonna push them all to you, and you guys take care of them. But this is not in a trial. That he's a part of the Kenosha Guard, that he's a recruit for them, that he's a part of this massive white supremacist militia. This is not on the in the proceedings. This is not in the trial at all. And that's because the judge here is definitely on Kyle Rittenhouse's side. He's definitely helping Kyle Rittenhouse. If folks were watching this broadcast, they would have seen the many libraries being taken by the judge, and the judge, like, to me, looks like whispering stuff to Kyle or talking to Kyle, and him getting really angry at the prosecution. Very telling that they're not trying to put this white boy in prison in greater confinement. And that's because, he is on the side of the people who want to maintain and expand the system of white supremacy. And the people he killed were as white people pretending to maybe be helping Black people, or just white people who were not on code as much as Kyle Rittenhouse. So deceptiveness 101, he's not crying. This is not real tears. He wasn't traumatized when he was at the bar drinking, celebrating his 2 kills. He wasn't having these sort of outbursts when he was becoming literally famous because of what he did. So it's just tacky, trashy, and terroristic. Any comments on Mr. Rittenhouse, who I suspect probably will, I hope he doesn't get off, but with my understanding of the system, white supremacy, is very, very possible that he will.
Yeah, an Oscar-winning performance there by by Kyle Rittenhouse, just crying without tears. Excellent. I think it's really obvious at this point that the judge is definitely team Rittenhouse at this point. Anytime he seems to be questioned, and I wouldn't even say in an aggressive way, but anytime he's questioned by the prosecution, the judge seems to call time, say, okay, we need to take a break right now, etc. And I think it's obvious that the guy that Kyle Rittenhouse went down there, he purchased the weapon, or he got someone else to purchase the weapon for him. He knew that it was illegal for him to own such a weapon. He knew that it was quote unquote at some points during the trial he's saying it wasn't dangerous, but then you carried an AR-15 rifle with you. It's obvious at this point that he went down there looking for trouble. If you're going down there with a rifle, you probably are thinking that you probably are gonna use it. And even if he does get found guilty, which I doubt, but even if he does, the judge in that case, which is Team Rittenhouse, I think he's probably going to give him a nice little Amber Geiger 2-piece combo. Like a little, you get a little slap on the wrist. He'll get probably, I don't
Minimum
know,
sentence.
2 years. Yeah. He'll get like a little bit of, I don't know, 2 years or so. He'll probably get something like a manslaughter charge, not a murder charge, even though it's 3 people he killed, right? And obviously
he killed 2, injured 1.
He killed 2, injured 1, right? So the first person, the reason that he was being so-called chased in the first place is because other people had witnessed him execute someone or shoot someone else. So that's why he was being chased in the first place, which is, a lot of the white supremacist media are not stressing that fact. They just keep talking about how he was being chased and why this is so-called self-defense. And, I think most people understand now that that it wasn't self-defense. And, a lot of more overt white supremacist websites are just basically calling Kyle Rittenhouse a hero. They call him a hero because, he's quote unquote on the right side, which is on the white supremacist side, I guess. A lot of white people view him as the poster child for white supremacy at this moment.
Yeah, and take notice at the screenshot. Don't listen to us about white supremacy. If you don't think the problem is real, just look at the mentality that is behind this case, Kyle Rittenhouse. You see this on the screen. What does it say here? And this was throughout the trial, the proceedings. You will see comments like this, protecting this suspected white supremacist murderer with stuff like this. Kill niggers, kill nigger. And this was being spammed there. So I of course had to get the screenshot, but this is the mentality of racist man and racist woman. They're very vulgar, they're very deadly, and they have no problem eliminating non-white people. And of course, white people as well. White sacrifices are very, very valuable into maintaining the system. So if Kyle Rittenhouse is white sacrificed by going to greater confinement, like Smoking Diamond just said, it won't be a harsh sentence. It will be very, very minimum sentence. And because the judge is definitely a suspected white supremacist. He seems like he has racist dementia, which is being racist, but not being all there, the mental faculties. But it's just super terroristic to having to be born on this planet and having to have to solve this problem, because this is the kind of energy we're dealing with. Literal psychopaths.
Yeah, for me, I'm still learning. This trial is definitely a learning experience, like something to examine and study. Parts of it can be confusing for me, because for one, it's about white sacrifices. A white person killed white people. But from the things I have observed, especially I saw I don't know all the details of this trial, so I'm still learning it as I go. But I saw some of the testimony yesterday, I saw some of it today, and I completely agree with Smoking Damages when he says that judge is Team Rittenhouse. That judge, especially after the outburst, or how he was how he was, I don't want to say he was arguing, but just shouting at the prosecutor. That white racist suspect prosecutor is having a tough time. I'm sure he's in on it. It's just, what they do, make it seem like, oh, everybody's against him. But he, yesterday when you're watching the testimony, specifically from the white female, she was very helpful to the defendant's lawyer. Very helpful, remembers everything that happened. Oh, but the minute the prosecutor comes up, she doesn't remember anything. She's like, I didn't say that. I didn't do this. You're putting words in my mouth. Blah, blah, blah. Just going on and on like that. So I suggest anybody who hasn't seen the testimony of the white female yesterday, watch that and study that and analyze it, because it's very telling of who, of basically where this case is going. I think most definitely that Kyle Rittenhouse will not go to jail. He definitely won't go to jail for murdering somebody. He definitely won't go to jail for what he's supposed to be in prison for. If he does serve any time, it'll be very minimal. It's something that I agree with. But from what I'm gathering is, one, he possesses a firearm illegally. He left his state and went to a different state. And those for me are things that like should almost kind of criminalize somebody, right? That this person should definitely find himself in jail just on those kind of charges alone. And then after this performance today, it's just quite plain and clear to me that this judge is rooting for Kyle Rittenhouse. Kyle Rittenhouse is going to get off. Also, one thing too that I keep seeing and that the testimonies keep bringing up is how I think his name's Rosenbaum, one of the two victims who was killed, one of the two white sacrifices, that was killed, how he mentioned nigger. He said the N-word. All three of those people heard him say the N-word, and they all said it, so it's like, oh, it's almost like kind of signaling to the non-white people he was a racist. He should Kyle did a good thing. He eliminated an overt racist, kind of trying to confuse us. That's kind of the stuff that I'm gathering from this. I don't know if anybody else saw that, but he mentioned it. I know the white female yesterday mentioned it as well, that he was yelling out, kill those niggers, kill those niggers. So I don't know exactly what that has to do with him, eliminating that white sacrifice, but it was brought up several times.
Very interesting. And I noticed a double whammy effect because the camera pans to his Kyle Rittenhouse, very interesting looking race mother. Because they're trying to play some sort of sympathy angle, and they know that white tears are very, very powerful. So you show like a crying boy and a crying white woman. Ooh, that may really get people like some sympathy points from the jury to see this crying mother and this crying white child who managed to kill two people with an assault rifle. So yeah, it's just they know exactly what they're doing, and I really off code moment really hated seeing this goblin looking creature on the screen. This is not about Kyle Rittenhouse mother. This is about the trial, the case, and if we live in a system of justice, we want to have things like this happening ever. But nope, I gotta look at this goblin creature because I don't know what they're trying to confuse us. They're trying to get sympathy for these folks.
Exactly. The white tears go a really, really long way, as you said, and it seems obvious, but I mean, I may as well say it anyway. Let Kyle Rittenhouse have been a black person, a black man, a black male, right, with an AR-15 rifle, going down to any protest and ended up shooting two people. regardless of who they were, if it was a white person, Chinese person, other black people. Well, this it would just be a question of how long is he going to get in the jail? How long is he going to get? But he's definitely going to jail. If if Carl Rittenhouse was a black person, I think it's obvious. But I think most people around the world who are looking at that trial, they know what the deal is. Carl Rittenhouse is not black, so this is why it has to be called into question. If it was a black person, it would not even be called into question about if he's guilty. It would just be a matter of how much time is he actually going to get.
Yeah, not only that, if it was a black male or a black female, every person associated with that victim would also be getting some charges placed on them. Like, okay, who gave this nigga the gun? Go get him too. You know, who drove this nigga here? Go get him too. You know, all those are accomplices and accessories. But no, we keep hearing this Dominic Black mentioned. You know, no charges on him that I know of. You know, no charges on the mother who drove this little terrorist down there. Nope, she's scot-free, you know, in the stand, crying, trying to get sympathy. No, not trying. She's getting sympathy from everyone, but the people who are not confused about this, this spectacle that they're putting on for us. And I also must add that I wonder what are the usual suspects you like doing while everyone is so focused on this case. You know, I really wonder what they're up to. You know, what they're planning and what diabolical, nefarious things they're doing in all places of the globe, because this is a great opportunity for them to get some stuff done as well, because they know how we sensationalize everything and spend our time and energy on this stuff. So yeah, I'm also thinking about that for sure.
Also, just my opinion, but I reckon that I suspect, anyway, just my opinion, I suspect that Carl Rittenhouse went down there with the sole purpose of hunting black people on that protest, and it just so happened he ended up, you know, shooting this white person. But I suspect he would have rather that he just shot all black people. That's just my opinion, and that's why I suspect that Carl Rittenhouse went down there for.
Yeah, agreed. And I think he's a perfect example of a stupid criminal. You know, he just or a failed criminal, because you know, not only did he not set out what he accomplished to do, he ended up killing people from the white side. So correct.
Yes, I think I believe Smoking Damages is on to something, because also listening, watching the trial, you know, he knew that he's going down there to protect businesses, and they knew that they were going to be unoccupied. So, you know, they question him. They're asking him, why do you need a gun to protect an unoccupied building? Do you believe that it's necessary to use deadly force to protect an unoccupied car? Do you believe it's necessary to use deadly force for this and that? And you know, that's another thing. Why
Kwaku, he needed the gun to put out the fires, remember? He needed the gun to put out the fires.
Exactly. So, you know, another thing, you know, why do you need a gun to go protect unoccupied buildings? That should be another thing that just, you know, gets this guy like Smoking Down to say under the jail, you know, but that's not going to happen with him. He's going to get out scot-free. Oh man. And this performance, I knew it was coming, and racism, white supremacy got me again. You know, I'm acting like I'm surprised, but this is to be expected. I knew this kind of performance was coming. I knew that they're going to do whatever they can to make this guy look like he is some saint. He couldn't harm a fly, but he's armed. He owns a firearm, an assault rifle at that. He's underage, and he's going to a different state just to engage with some protesters.
Yeah, exactly. As everyone else here seen the video of him beating up the other white female? Remember there's a video of him that someone else had where he was shown getting into some sort of fight with another white female, and he was really giving her that work. He was giving her like some real combinations. He's beating the hell out of this other white female. Now, like I said, if let this be a black person, let Kyle Rittenhouse being a black male being shown to be quote unquote, they would have been calling him a violent thug, they would have been calling him a criminal, they've been calling him some sort of drug addict, they've just basically just been calling him some sort of violent thug person who needs to be locked away. And he done that. He's been proven to abuse women, so to speak, and he's also shot some people as well. Now he would have been locked away by now.
Yeah, I think I found it. Let's give it a watch.
I'm a pistol with this. Yeah, you gonna be the big man. You gonna be the biz though. You gonna be the biz. He trying to be tough. Look at him. It's all white. He said, "Say it again." We black. We going to jail. They gonna come take us
I'm
first.
Not no Captain Saberho. Punch that.
Oh, me, she already smacked him.
And she's gonna call the police. Yeah. She gonna call the police. Ooh, move, Kyle, move.
Oh, yeah? Oh, what? No, hold on. He punching a bitch. He punching a bitch.
On the game. On the game. Get out the car.
It's a bad one.
Put the hand on the female. On the game. Don't put your hands on the.
Yeah.
Let's go.
See, this happens when black people hang around white people. Only incorrect things are afoot. But yeah,
and what that video shows is he had to be pulled away from stopping. He had to be pulled away from beating up that white female on the ground there. So I'd say just throwing it out there shows what kind of person that he is. And so if he goes down there at a protest looking for trouble with a gun, it was quite likely that he was going to use that gun to quote unquote defend himself.
Yeah. And he's hitting the female when she's he's hitting the female when she's already being hit by two other people. So it's like you can see that he's not even trying to do it in any way to defend himself. He's literally just jumping her, which is like the lowest form of exerting violence, in my opinion.
If the prosecution does not show that video, I suspect racism, white supremacy is being practiced. This is public record. 0526 found this video in under 3 seconds. So they can't act like they haven't seen this or they don't know about it. If they don't show this video while the defense is trying to build his image, like, oh, he was out there trying to provide first aid to protesters and to help people out there, they need. Oh God. That's my comment.
It's very true. Remember in the Trayvon Martin trial, they brought up the fact that I think he had a fight at school or something. They alleged that he had a fight at school, so that was pertinent in his trial as to justify why he was killed by Fred Zimmerman. So it doesn't matter what the age. It doesn't matter what age this person is. If it's a black male that's on trial, so why shouldn't that be brought into into trial? Like Quakey was saying, at the end of the day, this goes to show what kind of a person he is, what his temperament is like, what he's capable of doing. I've got no doubt in my mind, like I said, about what he was doing down there. It might not have turned out how he wanted to do, but I think he was going down there, like Neely Fuller's saddle up, boys. Let's go get him. That's exactly what he's trying to do.
Yeah, for real. And it's so deplorable because in the chat, in this chat, and also all across the internet, people are calling this Kyle Rittenhouse a hero, you know? Yeah, but you know, if it makes sense because Chris Kyle, they also call him a hero. He was like out killing brown people for fun, non-white people for fun as well. So yeah, the people who the most racist and most violent people are often the so-called American heroes. So it's really, really terroristic. And this video is from July 1st. I think the incident was in May? Was it in May? I don't know, but
It was in August.
Oh, okay. So this is right. So this is right before he went and failed his mission to kill black people.
What's interesting too is, you know, Kamala Harris put black parents or attempted parents in prison or in jail for their kids not going to school. And yet this child, what is he, 16 at this point?
I think it's 17, but yeah.
17 is jumping people, getting into going to protest with an AR-15 or whatever, and driving without a license, which was also in the case. And I don't see anyone calling for her, the parent, to be jailed for negligence, which she obviously is being a negligent parent. So I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, but in the system of white supremacy, these laws, these rules, they really only apply to non-white people. White people don't really have any rules. You know, they actually need these rules and laws in place so they can have the aura that, you know, that their chaotic energy is being contained. But it's really not. White people across the planet are 24/7 doing incorrect things, whether it's grilling up some testicles on a skillet, or kidnapping children for sexual abuse, or going down to protest to harm black people. You know, it's taking place 24/7, which is why the problem needs to be solved.
Exactly. And also, I don't view Kyle Rittenhouse as a child either when he committed these offenses. Even though he was 17, I don't care. I don't view him as a child. No one views us as children, even if we're 15, 14. They adultify us in white supremacist media. You know, even if we're 12 years old, like this man did this this thing, or whatever. Remember that white supremacist female that was talking about this white child brushed up against her. He just brought his backpack brushed up against her in a shop somewhere, and then she tried to accuse this black child. I think he was something like 11 years old or something like that, 12 years old, of sexual assault. She tried to say that he tried to pinch her bottom in a shop. You know, they adultify us all the time. I don't view Kyle Rittenhouse as a child at all. I view them the way they view us. At the end of the day, they're men. He's a man. He's an adult, and he should be tried as an adult, and he should be given the amount of jail. He should be tried as a black person. Basically, they should all be treated like black people. Until white supremacy ends, all white people should be treated like black people. Every single white person on the planet should be treated exactly the same way that black people are treated. And if any white people are listening to this and say, "Oh, you can't say that," well, then you know that there's something wrong. Don't you? You know something. You know that there's something out of order in the way that black people are treated in comparison to you. So the only type of white person that would be offended by what I just said is because they understand that black people are not treated in a just way. You know, like we don't receive the same treatment that white people receive.
Precisely. That would really get maybe some gears going in a direction of producing justice. If every white person was treated like a victim of racism, then yeah. And I agree. Whenever we are in some sort of trouble, we definitely don't have that courtesy of being, you know, treated like retarded children that we actually are. But no, I remember the case with the black male playing wrestling with another I think it was a black girl, killed her by accident. They definitely threw the book at him. And this was years and years and years ago. I still remember this terroristic act. So yeah, we definitely never get any sort of leniency when anything happens. You know, while a white person catches us doing anything, we're definitely getting thrown under the jail. So it would be really correct if that same treatment was applied to white people, or if we just produce a system of justice. And now I'm gonna go to this next clip, which I think is should be a reminder and encouragement to stay out of the bed with white people. I don't think this is a tragic arrangement, but it's just an example of the deceptiveness and the psychopathology that white people conduct amongst themselves, and especially towards us. So let me see if I can find it. Where is it? Okay, I think it's this one. All right, let's just check it out.
Okay, so you broke in. You broke in. I'm telling you to leave.
I leaned against the door.
No, the door was locked. I locked it and checked it.
Stop! Please!
Get out of my house until you change your attitude.
Please! Stop! Stop!
Get out of my house until you change your attitude.
Stop! Stop! Please! Please stop! Just stop!
Get out of my house.
Stop!
Get out of my
Please,
house.
just fucking stop!
It was locked so that you would not get in.
Just stop!
It was locked so that you would not get in.
Just stop!
Just get out of my house.
Just stop!
Just get out of my house.
Stop!
Just get out of my house.
Just stop!
Just get out of my
Just
house.
Stop! I'm not doing anything.
Just get out of my house. Can we look at what you're doing right now? Over me asking for apology and you breaking in.
I did not break in.
The door was locked.
I did not
That's a
break
break-in.
in.
That's a
I
door
did
was
not
locked.
break in.
The door was locked. That's a break-in.
Stop!
Leave. 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 Leave.
Get off!
Ah.
Stop! Just stop! Just stop!
And you fucking came and broke my or sprained my arm earlier, so.
No, I didn't. Stop! Stop! Just stop!
Leave.
Just stop!
Leave.
Stop!
Leave.
Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?
Why are you doing this?
Stop.
Leave.
You're stressing me out! I can't
Just
take
leave.
it! I can't
Just
breathe!
fucking leave. Just fucking walk out of my house. That was locked. And leave.
Stop!
Cops are coming.
Just stop!
Cops are coming.
Just stop!
You're too
Just
loud.
stop! Just stop! Please!
Get out of my house.
Give me my keys!
Get out of my house.
Give me
I don't know where your keys are. Get out of my
Find
house.
them! All I want is help!
I'll find them when you get out of my house. I will find them when you get out of my house and stop beating on my property.
Stop! I can't! Just stop! Please!
Get out of my house.
Stop! Just stop!
Get out of my house.
Just stop!
Get out of my house.
Just stop!
Get out of my house.
Please! Just stop!
Get out of my house.
Please! Stop!
The Yurugu needs power and control. When it is lost, chaos ensues. Chaos is inevitable when racist man and racist woman lose their power and control over anything, whether it's a conversation or so-called relationship, or especially how they want to maintain the system of white supremacy. Just expect these sort of outbursts. But this is even more spectacular, and just this is you would think that this is behavior associated only with small children, only with babies who have been poorly trained and raised by their parents. But no, this is the average. I suspect this could be the average white person who uses the guise of power and control over any situation. This is very, 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 very common behavior, I suspect. when a white person doesn't get their way, whether the town Joe manifested them writing an angry letter to a manager at a store or calling the police, just manifests very, very, very differently. Yeah, and then just you see here in the text that the altercation was over me spending $30 more than what I intended to spend of my own money. I guess this was a area 1 economics issue, in area 8, of course, because she's stuck with this creature having this tantrum in her dwelling. But yeah, this is shitty motivation. Stay out of the bedroom with white people. I'm not saying that this person here is a white woman. I mean, is a non-white female, because I suspect it's a white woman. So yeah, it's really, really telling of what it means to be white, I think. Any
The system of racism, white supremacy has retarded the entire planet. I think that is evident here. What we're seeing, the only difference is, this white individual will act out, probably receive the resources that he needs. Black people act out, they receive a coffin. Huge difference. I suspect that this white male will go on to continue living his life, receiving pity from other white people. And what do black people receive? Oh, they receive greater confinement. They don't receive the help that they constructively are asking for, or worse, death. Non-white people, don't be deceived by this. Do not feel sorry for this person. Feel sorry for the fact that the system of racism, white supremacy is allowed to continue and retard the entire planet.
Yeah, I have to second what you just said, Kwaku, because the system has retarded both white people and non-white people to such a extremely, extremely high degree. It's just one key difference. White people have the system to get behind, to assist them with their retardation and their incorrect thinking, whereas black people, non-white people do not. We become retarded and confused, and like you said, that often leads us to coughing, greater confinement, or and to the legs between the legs of a white person, which is so dangerous and probably a fate worse than death. I suspect. So yeah, this creature here, he has a system that is going to assist him. He has something to hide behind. We do not. So this is why we need to start using logic as our attempted shield. Logic and proper emotional control. And I also noticed the Jason tattoo. He has a Jason tattoo on his leg, which is probably very telling of just the sort of things that interest him. A white man, an invincible white man going around killing people. That's tattooed on them. So it's really, really, really telling of what kind of particular white person we're witnessing here.
I mean, can we imagine if that was a a black female and that was is a white female and that was a black male that was doing that, acting out in that type of way? Wow, the police would have been called a long time. Wow, he would have been. Like I said, all white people should be treated in exactly the same way that black people are treated in a system of racism, white supremacy, until that system ends. If he knew he was going to be treated like a black person, he'd soon get over his breakdown and his little meltdown that he's having about please stop. Like Kwaku said, don't feel sympathy for this guy, right? And I have to say, when I first watched this video, it brought back memories for me, because I went one time years ago when I was tragically arranged, right, with this white female. She did exactly the same thing. One time when I told her I didn't want to be with her, oh God, the hysterics. She was like that. I couldn't get her to leave my house. And she was just stamping her feet, just just having a tantrum like a kid, like you said, 05, like a kid just banging all over the floor, talking like, please stop, and all this kind of ridiculous stuff that you associate with a toddler, right? A toddler, right? This is exactly how she was acting. I just thought, oh man. And I was in two minds of whether to call the police. But I mean, I knew in that kind of state, if she did that and the police heard her screaming like that in the background, if I called the police, I'm the one that probably would have been arrested. They would have been like, what are you doing to that nice white girl in the background there? Why is she screaming and crying like that? You know, I would have been the person probably that would have been carried off to jail that day. So I just had to wait until she'd finished her little white supremacist tantrum. And then she left, you know. I had to just change those locks like real quick. But yeah, you know, why people get away with this type of temper tantrum stuff all the time, and I suspect they know they can get away with it, which is, you know, that's why they do it.
Yeah. Also, they know it's a tactic that has worked for thousands of years, perhaps. This crying temper tantrum stuff, and it's so tragic that I can also recall a similar story. Being when I was tragically arranged, when I was repeatedly being raped by a white female, and I decided to put an end to it. I was getting calls from the race mother saying, you know, that she's crying, she's in the bathroom crying, you know, you're just crying in the bathroom all day. I'm like, I don't care. It's kind of gross to me that she's lying down in the bathroom crying. Honestly, that's what I thought. It's really gross that she's like lying on the bathroom floor crying, and I really didn't give a shit. And this is still when I was uberly confused. Even after that arrangement that happened, I was still very, very confused. But I was very much made into a monster already to not have much sympathy for folks I didn't want to have sympathy for. So the tactic didn't work on me, but it's super telling that we both have this very similar experience of a white woman having that sort of tantrum, just bawling their eyes out because their captive is finally escaping, you know. So let's go on to let's just keep it in the deceit lane, the incorrect deceit lane. And
No. Use your teeth. There we go. Okay, there you go. You can take on me.
So what this tells me is that, you know, practicing deceit is fun to them, and this sort of deceit, you know, it's like it's kind of getting into like kind of sexual deceit is just very, very gross. And who wants to marry a person who would do something so gross to them? You know, or am I just like, you know, too serious for thinking this is incorrect and definitely sickening? And just I wonder how this white man reacted to his racist woman deceiving him in this way. I'm pretty sure this is on camera forever. You know, his friends are gonna be able to throw it in his face. You know, make jokes about it forever if they want to. And yeah, this is the person he decided to make his race wife. Deceit 101. You know, they have fun doing it, they laugh about doing it, and no one is is off the limits you know, because this is I believe a groom, or I guess that's what they're called. I've never been to a wedding. I don't really know all the ritual term used in that ceremony of a wedding, but I think this is a groom and the other person is a bride, and I think they're just gotten married, and they're supposed to be you know, honest with each other, truthful with each other, but he's on his knees pulling off, I don't know what this thing is, off of another man's leg, and then giving him a lap dance, um all in a deceitful manner, because I don't think he would have, well, I don't know him, and like understanding white people, he could be down for this, but just to say it, I don't know if he would have been down to do this in front of everybody, maybe behind closed doors, who knows, but in front of everybody with cameras and all the laughing going on, probably not. What does it mean to be white? I think it means to have fun practicing deceit and to have fun maintaining the system of white supremacy. Any comments?
Yeah, it's a strange video, that one. I just look at that as they shouldn't be able to have any fun. I just look at that as they shouldn't be able to have any fun in a system of racism and white supremacy. If we can't have, if we're still victims of a system of racism and white supremacy, then you know, sometimes when I see them quote unquote having fun, then you know, this you know, some onlookers would probably say, well, this is just a little prank, you know, a little prank between friends, etc., etc. I just see some suspected racists having fun in a building. That's what I look at. I suspect they all could be practicing racism, white supremacy. Even if some people look at that and they say, well, it's just a room full of people having fun who are classified as white. Say, yeah, that's true. But you know, as a victim of race and white supremacy, because I don't know who is a racist and who's not, I just suspect that all of them could be practicing racism, white supremacy. And if anyone has any proof otherwise, then you know, I'd like them to tell me. I'd like them to share in the comment section below. Tell me why you think that they're not racist. What evidence do you have to say that they don't practice racism, white supremacy? You know, I think this is one of the takeaways that I want, that I would love, well, not love, but I would prefer a lot of non-white people to understand the average. When you look at a white person, we need to change our fundamental, just the way we look at white people. What is a racist? Who practices racism, white supremacy? Is it the people that were in that church in the first documentary that we watched? Are those the white supremacists over there? No. You can't have a whole system of racism, white supremacy in operation for as long as it has been without the average, everyday, common garden variety white person practicing racism, white supremacy. And I hope if I accomplish anything, I'll try to get more white people, more non-white people to just understand that it's your neighbors, your friends, etc. They're all complicit in that system. The only reason you have it running for this long is because they don't do anything about it.
Excellently put, Mr. Smoking Damages. Garden variety. It's a person delivering your mail. It's a person saying howdy neighbor. It's a person saying hey buddy to you. It's a person exchanging goods to you when you walk into that supermarket. It's a person helping you down the aisle to find something. These are all suspected racists. You know, it's not just Mr. KKK or Mr. Skinhead or Mr. Alt-right. It's
No,
all the
but 05, apart from the white people that shop at Whole Foods, they're not racist.
Just Whole Foods and just the concept of Whole Foods is very incorrect, to say the least, about that concept. All right, that's good.
My only comment on this video is what I see is white people up to white activities, white people doing what white people do. But had this been a non-white person, and I think that just you know, give some context. Remember that once upon a time, this could have been your ancestors, and the only people that were laughing were white people while this was going on. That's it.
Interesting. All right, let's go to this one.
or someone's picture or of someone's voice or someone's picture or someone's story, it literally means erasure of their stories. Being the only black person in that picture who was removed, it was really a very profound moment in my activism, and it's a moment that made me think about, my value or my worth in the climate movement. And unfortunately, that is something I re-experienced again during this conference. So it is something that we see is continuously happening. There is no climate justice if the people who are on the front lines of this crisis, who didn't cause this crisis, are being left behind or are being cropped out or are not being invited to these conferences. Erasure of
Shout out to Mr. Tevin for finding this clip. But yeah, this is just yeah, awesome proof that we are living in a system of white supremacy, because this victim here, she's attempting to be an activist, whatever that means, and fight climate change. It would be so constructive for her to, before she pursues that fight, to learn what white supremacy is and what and how it works, because she shouldn't be surprised that this is happening. And it's very hypocritical that Greta Thunberg's camp is practicing racism when she's supposed to be all for the planet. And, the extinction rebellion or whatever the hell she's promoting, and she's gathering so much support. I remember, I was in the area of the world known as London, and I first heard about the Extinction Rebellion from a non-white person, black female, victim of racism, who is more concerned about that fight than eliminating white supremacy, which would definitely help the planet constructively. But if you have this climate change or protesting by the white people, it's just not gonna happen. White people are not gonna stop destroying the planet unless we get them to stop practicing racism and white supremacy. We can't solve any major problems on this planet, and climate change seems to be one of the major problems we have on this planet. We can't solve any of those problems without solving the race problem, because all roads lead to racism and white supremacy. So a lot of people would think Greta Thunberg is not a racist, but she's most certainly is a suspected racist, and I don't think she gives a damn about the non-white people being harmed. She just wants to be able to live in a world where she can practice racism too, and the same comfort that her ancestors and that her folks did, her parents are able to.
Yeah, I've got a video addressing this climate change stuff on Reviews RM. If anyone wants to go and check out that video on there that I did, and I did feature Miss Thunberg in that video briefly, because this whole climate change thing is interesting. I mean, in this this area of the world where I'm at, known as London, England, they've got this strange protest going on at the moment, this climate change thing and it's by this group called Insulate Britain. And you got a lot of white people, some of those white people, they're gluing themselves to the ground. They're gluing themselves to the street, right? Using super glue or whatever kind of stuff. And these other suspected racists are trying to unglue their hands from the street. So, when they when white people collectively understand that something is wrong or what they perceive as wrong, they have a track record in coming together to try and do something about it, trying to present some sort of solutions to the problem. So whether you're talking about anti-capitalism marches, etc., those white people, they rally around to try and quote unquote solve the problem. So that tells me that white people collectively don't give a damn about getting rid of racism and white supremacy. They don't give a damn about stopping that. Greta Thunberg and all the rest of these white people on these protests. It's interesting, like I was saying in that video as well, that a lot of people, most of the time you see these climate change things, you don't really see a lot of black people on these marches. You see a lot of black people. It's probably because a lot of black people have other things to worry about, We're victims of racism, white supremacy. Why should I go to a climate change march with these other white people to fix up the planet for who? To fix up the planet so that I can just continue to be victimized by these same white people. They really care about the planet and how climate change is affecting the planet, but they don't care about the people on the planet. They don't care that they don't care that non-white people, especially black people, are victims of racism, white supremacy. Those same white people on that march, they don't care if you got the same rights as us. They don't care if you've got the same rights as everyone else on the planet, just as long as we recycle. Just as long as when you use some eggs or whatever, you put the shell in one part and you put the box in another carton, and you put something else, you put the plastic, put the carrier bag in another carton. That's what they care about. That's what these people who are classified as white care about on these things. If non-white people listening to me right now, they don't believe that, you go and ask those white people what they think about racism, white supremacy, and if they're that passionate about stopping the practice of racism, white supremacy, I suspect they care more about animal rights and things like that. That's what a lot of people who are classified as white care about.
That's an excellent segue into one of the next clip I have planned, and this is Mr. Smokey Damage's Instagram reviews. RM, please check it out. It's full of tidbits of constructive information. Most definitely. All right, so this is oh, go ahead. All right.
I be the one in the fucking driver's seats.
I'm a bee barking blueberry.
Okay, I just showed the other ones just to give an example of how they're conditioning us to imitate baby behavior for likes and social media attention. Really pitiful, but victims of the system are often very pitiful. But the clip before it, we have white people, I suspect, giving placing flowers on meat because they believe that eating meat is incorrect, although it may be incorrect for one's body. Yeah, an example that they care more about animals than black people and than non-white people. They much rather spend their time and energy doing stuff like this than solving the problem of racism and white supremacy. I remember I was in an institution known as Berkeley, and I was walking to my dwelling, and on the sidewalk there was a naked white person in a giant meat packing bag. It's very similar to what we see on the screen, and covered in fake blood. And when I saw that, it just really traumatized me because I thought something like incorrect had happened, but nope, it was just white people protesting animal rights. So they would come to our school and get in these bags with fake blood. It is really a really grotesque sight. And I'm like, oh wow, this is really intense. All this for animals, or what are y'all doing for black people? Of course, nothing, because they don't care about black people. They care about anything but animals. The environment that they're destroying, that they're ruining. Yeah, anything but black people. Yeah, this is the sort of protest that they do. Never will protest for non-white people to stop being terrorized 24/7 globally.
Yeah, the amount of times I've heard that from a lot of white people down through the years who go to these sort of animal rights things. A lot of these so-called vegan white people that say things like, you know, if you care about racism, you should also care about animal rights. So you know, the subtext there is they're lumping black people in with animals, right? So it's saying like, if you care about the plight of these caged animals, you know, if you care about racism, then you should also care about the plight of these these caged animals. You know, they've got some sort of thing about animals. That's what I usually find in a lot of conversations I've had with white people down through the years. These the ones that usually go on these protests about animal rights, they always try and say, you know, they ally themselves with quote unquote the black struggle. You know, when they want to have any kind of association with oppression, if they want to so-called shine a light on the subject that they're talking about, whether it is animal rights, whether it's LGBTQ stuff, whether it's whatever, then they just bring in, you know, if this kind of reminds me of racism, don't you think? It's kind of similar, isn't it? So no, it's not. No, it's not. You want to add these rights for animals, but then you don't even want black people to have the same rights as other human beings have. So you know, I can't really have a lot. I mean, I have sympathy for animals, and I have, you know, and I think climate change is an issue, but you know, I'd rather secure rights for black people. I'd rather have white people not practice racism, white supremacy. You know, if you really are about justice for all things on this planet, including all human beings, then, you know, start first with ceasing the practice of racism, white supremacy. I suspect that most of the time, if there wasn't racism in this world, if there wasn't racism, white supremacy in this world, you probably wouldn't have all this type of cruelty. You probably wouldn't have climate change or this kind of this like incorrect capitalism, what they call capitalism, the incorrectness of the type of capitalist system that we have. You wouldn't have it if you didn't have a system of racism, white supremacy. You know, they always use this kind of trick language like capitalism is really bad. Well, no, the people who are in charge of capitalism are doing bad stuff. They say like communism's bad. No, the people who are in charge of communism are doing the incorrect things. These things are just theories. These things are just ideas. It's the people behind the ideas that make them corrupt at the end of the day. And most of the time it is racist man and racist woman who are in charge of all these things.
Couldn't have said it better. Correct. We would not have such a not only are non-white people, especially black people, just completely miserable, but even animals seem to be just totally devastated by the system of white supremacy. They just, yeah, you know, they're used in so many incorrect ways, and it would be epic to see that their mistreatment ended too, but it's not going to happen while white people are in charge, especially while they're maintaining the system of white supremacy. And so I think I hope you all saw the white woman on the screen earlier. I'm just going to show the pictures again. Yeah, I'm just going to show this picture again. You know, they have a really bizarre relationship with animals. You know, and this particular suspected racist here has taken a liking to this big black bear. All right, just get these in your brain computer, and I'm gonna play another clip with a big black bear, and you all can think about what it means. Shout out to Mr. Edward Williams for bringing this to our attention. Juxtaposing that clip to these images, I think it's very telling what this a white woman may be thinking this bear is, some sort of companion, maybe some sort of black male like companion, some sort of forbidden arrangement. But I may be in error. I just may be very confused about what I'm seeing and what I believe is happening on planet Earth. But yeah.
Definitely some strange imagery going on there, I have to say. It's just really, really strange. I remember when I first saw that picture, I just thought, yeah, it's just weird. What's the word? It's cavorting. That's what it looks like. It looks like she was cavorting with the bear. It just looked like the same kind of sort of King Kong imagery, that type of thing. And it looked like when they kind of rescue what was that? What was that film where they had a big black male that was adopted into this family?
Blindside.
I think that's what it is. Yeah, Blindside. The kind of white savior type of thing where they just rescue some black person, and they, try to, teach this black person, how to use a knife and fork, etc. Teach him how to read and blah blah, so they can say, "Oh, we're such good white people, aren't we? Really, we really care about the planet and care about animals, whether they're black people or not. That's just animals in general. It's very very strange, really really strange. I'd say strange and deliberate imagery there on the part of suspected racist man and racist woman." And Forrest Whitaker in that little clip there, well, he did what he did. That's what I'm going to say. That.
I think the clip is very excellent in understanding how racism and white supremacy works, because Neely Fuller Jr. says that interactions between white people and non-white people goes from tacky to trashy to terroristic. It doesn't get no better than trashy, and that was very telling. That was very evident in the dialogue exchange, But the black male, he definitely was practicing just, I'm gonna call it kind of racist logic. He maintained his emotions, and he just asked constructive questions. And when he noticed that the whites got riled up, he acted. He pretended to be, in this position, listening to white people, and next thing you know, counter war is enacted. Just counter violence is enacted. So very constructive clip. We will be decoding this film soon. But yeah, they have definitely associated bears, big black animals, with black people. Certainly, and this is very evident. How does it want to rescue a bear from a zoo? Does this mean that all the bears should get out of the zoo and be able to not be captured? But nah, just this big black one that the white woman wanted. It reminds me of a Neely Fuller clip. I'm in the bear. Hope everyone has heard that clip. If not, just search it up on YouTube. I'm in the bear. It may pop up, but Neely Fuller says that this is going to try and take us, make bestiality normal.
It's interesting sometimes what they do with these black people, these black animals, when they capture them sometimes as well. Like Madonna, she captured her children, some other black children that she bought from Africa, like her accessories and stuff like that. Remember, she's got her, one of her daughters, I think, is dressing in a watermelon dress and stuff like that, and then she apologized and said, "Oh yeah, well, I can see now the racist connotations of making this little black girl dress in watermelon dresses." I mean, oh man, yeah. And her son, her quote unquote son, the other person that she bought, the other accessory that she bought from Africa as well. I suspect that he probably wouldn't be behaving in the way that he's behaving in the presence of Madonna and her family if he were not adopted into her family. I could be wrong, I could be in error, but I doubt whether he'd be acting like that were he not adopted by Madonna. And Madonna, there's so much I could say about Madonna, but this program's not long enough. So
exactly. Yeah, that is we learned about that. I believe it's I forgot what area. I know politics. Neither Forest says the kind of racist code says white people should not be adopting black people because it's just so damaging to the people adopted. They just become victimized further, retarded further, confused further. And yeah, it's a common theme where these white people will adopt black offspring. I think Charlie Theron is one of them, and they'll adopt all these black offspring, and then next thing you know, the offspring is practicing counter sexual activities, anti-sexual behavior. So should not be happening. White people know exactly what they're doing.
Back to the woman with the bear. So he was rescued from a zoo and captured by a white woman. Interesting. Wow.
Excellently put.
Yeah, white, just the awesome power of white woman and white man, racist man and racist woman. Okay, well, where are we headed to next? Let me see. Okay, let's just see. I don't know if you need to watch all of it to get the point, but we'll see.
Pretty motherfucker. I'm
Really?
just trying to help you.
I'm sorry, but I don't need your help.
Yes, you do, motherfucker. You do need my help, sir. Can't you see that, you son of a bitch?
Could you please just let me check out my groceries?
Fuck you, I'm trying to help you, motherfucker.
Wow, this is...
You gotta ask Jesus Christ.
I
We're all
don't have
sinners.
to do anything.
We're all sinners.
Okay.
He's not gonna force you to do it.
You're sinning right now.
No, I'm not, motherfucker. You fucking accuser. Get the fuck out of here, you fucking accuser. You motherfucking accuser. Get the fuck out of here.
Wow.
You motherfucking accuser. Accuser of the fucking brethren, you motherfucker.
Excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask you what's going on?
I'm pissed because he won't repent.
I just want to get some groceries and go home.
Thank you. Okay, so because his religious views don't match yours, you're mad at him?
I don't give a fuck because it's gonna burn in hell.
Okay. Then why
And you are too, bitch. If you don't have Jesus Christ as your savior, you're gonna be down there fucking with them, screaming in holy fucking terror of fucking fire and brimstone. Do you fucking get it?
Yeah, totally understand. But I can't have you yelling and spewing profanities at other people that are in the store.
Well, fuck you then.
I mean, it's not the way to do it.
Answer my fucking question. Fuck you, don't call me ma'am. Who the fuck told you what my title is, motherfucker? Shut the fuck up. Motherfucker.
If we want to watch the whole clip, it's 5 minutes. We've been on our air for a while, but it's laugh to keep from crying. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Wow. Just proof yet again, I guess, that she's so-called evangelizing. I guess what she's doing, right? So she's I guess born again Christian or something like that. She's evangelizing about the word of God, apparently, right? And the way she's going about it just goes to show that it doesn't matter what people say their religion is one thing. What you actually do is something completely and utterly different. So you can have I don't know if she's a racist or not, but I suspect that she could be, right? And this is just what I look at when I see racist people who claim to be religious, because there are some of the most shrewd racists I've ever met in my life have claimed to be practicing some sort of religion or another, right? Whether it's Judaism, whether it's Christianity, whether it's any old type of religion, they say one thing, but what they practice, what they do, how they operate day to day in their lives is something completely different. I'd just say, that woman's spoken like a true white supremacist Christian.
Yeah, agreed. She's telling people you're gonna go to hell, burn in hell. You don't gotta go to. You don't gotta die to go to hell. White supremacy is everyone's own personal hell, especially Black people. Well, actually, I shouldn't say everyone. White supremacy is non-white people's personal hell, because to white people, this is probably as close to heaven as they ever get, being able to dominate and live in a system where everything is meant to please them and worship them. So yeah, this is their heaven, this is our hell. And I suspect she's practicing the religion of white supremacy, which I believe to be an extension of Christianity and an extension of all the nonsense she's saying, that the Jesus Christ figure and all that stuff. Yeah, it's just awesome white power. And again, if this was a Black male, Black female in here, they wouldn't be approaching her in this manner. The security guard would already be there, trying to get her out the store, or the race soldiers would have been called, hauling her out the store, hauling him out the store. So yeah, even when they are behaving in this manner, the treatment is so different, which is why I second what Smokey Damage just said. Every white person should be treated like a Black person until the problem is solved.
Yeah, and I guess we should say that and point out that the race soldiers do arrive. I think so. Someone has called them, but I mean the amount of time that she's given to go on her rant before they turn up and actually cart her away is telling. Like you said, right? If that was a Black female doing that and acting in that kind of way, wow! I'm surprised if it was a Black female. Most of the time when I've seen these types of videos, other white people intervene. They probably would have wrestled her to the ground, put a couple of punches in before the race soldier got there. But she's a white female in a system of racism. So she got some. She got a couple of privileges, to use that phrase here, and I hate that phrase, but she got a couple of privileges.
Power.
Yeah,
Power.
yeah, she got power. Yeah, she got a lot of power in that system to be able to act like a child and stamp her feet, mother, without saying the word. But that's what she's wow.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to skip it to see how the race soldiers do handle her. Let's see. Let's go about right here.
With kid gloves, let's just say that. That's how they handle her.
Fucking prison, like without fucking parole, and I'll be better off than any one of you motherfuckers. Shut the fuck up. Fuck you, sir. Shut the fuck. Are you that fucking dumb? These people are going to hell. Stand up.
Yep, if it was a Black person, they would have, first of all, not walked towards her. They would have rushed towards her and tackle him or her to the ground. So, yeah, telling stellar spectacle of what it means to be white, and how protected we are. Go ahead.
If that was a non-white person, not only would she have been tackled to the ground, her dress would have been over her head, a boob would have been exposed. They would have put her in the most embarrassing position as possible. There's a term she keeps using, MF, and I think it's mentioned in the ISIS papers, if I'm not mistaken, about what that terminology, what it really means. And when I notice other non-white people acting in a similar behavior, incorrect or whatever, I politely tell them, stop acting white. This is what I call acting white. and how we need to not act like this. Stop emulating, stop copying this behavior. I mute my line.
Exactly. Yes, Mother Effer is most certainly a Wellsing moment. I encourage everyone to pick up a copy of ISIS Papers and read, or check out one of the 2 studies that we have done on that book. We've covered that book 3 times in this book club. 2 of them are available on YouTube. So no excuses to not understand what it means to be in a system of white supremacy racism. Well said, Ms. B. That's excellent. I'm gonna start using that. Stop acting white, chaotic, disorderly, discourteous, violent. That is very constructive to maybe get non-white people to correct their behaviors when they are behaving like white people incorrectly. All right, let me see. I think the rest are.
Wait a minute, because too often when a non-white person behaves like this, it's just called out as ghetto and niggly and blah 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 or whatever. No, their behavior needs to be called out as well.
Right. 100, yeah, 100%.
Exactly, and they'll probably say that she's got mental issues, etc. They'll probably try and think of any type of excuse for her behavior. She's having a really bad day that day, etc. And so she's going to be handled with so-called kid gloves, etc. She's probably not going to see the inside of a jail cell or a mental asylum or anything. She's not going to see the inside of it. She's probably just they're probably going to take away to get a statement and then just let her free to go and terrorize some more people the next day.
Yep. Okay. I think that was. All right. I have 2 more before we get into the adverbs. This is white people being white, having fun. Really short.
Sanding's back! Sanding's back! No! That's the boss! Yes! Give me your chair, House! Give me your chair! Give me your chair, House!
All right, I think we get it. I think this is gonna keep happening, but yeah. White behavior 101, self-annihilation, self-harm, chaos, pure chaos. This is what the Yurugu has destined for himself, according to the Dogon people. Absolute chaos. Energy that cannot be used for constructive purposes. Alrighty, let me get into. All right, final one. Okay, so for some reason this reminds me of Game of Thrones, where they have during the Red Wedding they have the little people like performing for just the little people are their entertainment, right? 2021, same thing. These are 2 little people being forced to behave in this manner for other people's entertainment. And that's white supremacy 101. It places the people who need help, people who should be getting help, people who should be getting the help that they need. But instead of giving them the help that they need, they will make them entertainers and just butts of the joke, the laughing stock of existence, and have them doing stuff like this. This is super we got. I didn't even know this was a thing that exists within the system, but I should never be surprised. But yeah, we have 2 people who I believe are classified as dwarves. May like fighting each other for money for other people's entertainment. And then you have a black male with a plunger being encouraged to put it in a white person's anus. You know, and it's not that real, but it's just really telling of the kind of people we are on this planet with sharing, which is why I have no problem saying if you're not interested in replacing the system of white supremacy with a system of justice, then maybe you shouldn't be on this planet. Maybe you shouldn't be existing. Maybe you shouldn't be taking up, or maybe the air that you breathe you're not worthy of. You know, maybe you should stop breathing because this is not entertainment. This is grotesque manifestation of the system of white supremacy, and everyone should be helping to solve the race problem or finding a way to get out of this planet. And the best way to do that is to get in the dirt, and that's all I have to say about this comment, this spectacle. We have been on the air for a while. How do y'all feel about doing a different broadcast dedicated to the adverbs and wrapping up with closing comments? Because we've been on for a while.
Yeah, we can do the adverts another time. Actually, I think because there's quite a few of those adverts, and I think they all cover the same. They all cover the same theme, and the so-called. I'd say the non-white people listen to this one. Just stay tuned for the next one because this one.
It's a doozy. Yes.
Oh, it really is, right? And it's about the so-called holiday that we call Christmas, and what these adverts, a common theme in a lot of these adverts, and it would be interesting exploring
It
these
should
adverts.
have its own segment, most definitely.
Yeah.
We'll have a horror day holiday special with those adverts. I'm just gonna read some really constructive information from the chat from Still Learning. Violence equal fun. Yeah, that's very correct. In the system of white supremacy, violence is very, very fun. Amadou Diallo, I'm sure I butchered that name correctly, but non-white black male assaulted with a plunger by NYC police. So when these images present themselves, white people in their brain computer, they're able to get even more enjoyment because this may remind them of the victim known as Amadou Diallo. So it was just I'm pretty sure that scene from the Game of Thrones is based off real occurrences of it is because we see it right here, but I'm talking about more in ancient times where they would get little people who are the people they felt were like deformed or born incorrectly to go out and do stuff like this to each other for fun. The whole gladiator reality that is constantly celebrated. Ridley Scott's Gladiator is considered to be one of the best films ever produced, arranged together, all about victims, being forced to harm each other for white people's entertainment. So in the system, yes, violence is very, very fun, and white people have made that very clear. They have also conditioned us to think violence is fun. I was once a true monster thinking violence is fun, watching the movie Natural Born Killers over and over, seeing black people get put in an oven and not thinking anything of it, just thinking it was this is just entertainment for me, it's just I'm laughing, haha. But no, this is insanity. We are all very, very insane, and we're all very insane, which is why I think if you're not trying to solve this problem, you shouldn't be alive. Pretty simple, and I'm an insane person, so maybe this is an insane thing to say, but whatever. I guess that was my close. Well, that was my closing comment. I'll get started with the closing comments. Brilliant broadcast. Please, everyone, like, comment, share, subscribe, so the information can get out there. We should not have to discuss this problem forever. We should be able to solve it. We just need an effective number of non-white people using their thoughts, speech, and action to counter racism. It can be as simple as no longer mistreating non-white people, no more name calling, no more acting white, using truth and not, emotional nonsense that we have been trained to use to exist on this planet. If we were using logic and truth, we would solve a lot of problems and minimize a lot of incorrect feelings that we exist with. So please like, comment, subscribe, feed the algorithm so more people will get recommended this sort of content. Yeah, closing comments from the rest of the host.
Non-white people, if you're listening to this, if you really do want to counter racism, instead of, no, actually not even instead of, but I would say as a strategy, analyze people who are classified as white. Analyze people who are classified as white. Ask questions, right? People who are classified as white on this planet have been analyzing black people and the behaviors of black people for centuries, right? So analyze the behaviors of white people. I'm talking about the average white person. Ask questions. Ask them, just ask questions. Ask them what they think a racist is. Ask them if ask them if they're a racist, right? Ask them questions like, what do you think of black people and white people having sex, for example, in a system of racism, white supremacy, whilst black people are really, really unequal. We're so far below what is considered equal to a white person on this planet today. Just ask questions and see how they behave. Also, as non-white people, if we think pointing the finger at other confused victims, other black people, is going to solve that problem, and calling them coons and sellouts and blah blah blah, then you're not going to we're not going to solve the problem like that. Black people have been analyzing other black people's behavior, confused victims, and we still have a system of racism, white supremacy. I don't know what else they need to do. I don't know what else other black people need to do in terms of calling out other victims, other so-called sellouts or coons, etc., to see that does not solve the problem. All you do is end up having more conflicts with other non-white people, and racist man and racist woman are just sitting above you, looking down and looking and saying, look at these non-white people fighting against each other. I mean, who do you think put the sellout right there in between you and the white people anyway? Right? So you're not going to solve the problem like that. You need to analyze white people in the same way that they analyze us. They know how we act. They know how we react. This program, this broadcast in and of itself is a reaction to the system of racism, white supremacy. If there was no such thing as a system of racism, white supremacy, you wouldn't even have a broadcast like this. There'd be no need for a broadcast like this. We are not the problem. We are not the problem. If you don't like a broadcast like this, then the quickest way to end a broadcast like this is by stopping the system of racism, white supremacy.
Non-white people, please take notice to your surroundings. And if you need help in decoding movies, TV shows, even the videos that you watch, join the book club. Hit the notification bell. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll help you. We'll be more than happy to help you. And excellent broadcast, and I can't wait until the next one.
Thank you, fellow hosts, and thank you, Mr. Still Learning, Rate This Record, Dom, Dorn, Tim Watkins, everyone who participated in the chat and gave the broadcast and audience. Thank you all. And let me read this. This is from Still Learning. I was programmed to view ghetto conditions as normal and cool. I used to compare my ghetto trauma to others' ghetto trauma as competition. Same here. Very, 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 very same here. And this is just the incorrect conditioning that we have been embedded with. I just facilitated 2 presentations, 2 hours each today, titled Racism and Power of an Illusion to a crowd that was 70% white. I hope it was very constructive, Still Learning. And please send me a link to it if it becomes available. That would be, I would love to see it. Well, if love was real, I would love to see it, but I would appreciate seeing it. With that being said, thank you everyone once again, and see you